In the early hours of April 30th, 1943, the sea off the coast of Spain rolled gently under a pale dawn. A local fisherman, casting his nets near Huelva, spotted something drifting toward him. It was a man, an officer in full British naval uniform, boots polished, cap in place. A briefcase chained to his wrist. His skin was pale, his eyes closed, his face strangely peaceful. When the fisherman pulled the body aboard, he found identification papers. Major William Martin, Royal Marines. Inside the briefcase, sealed envelopes marked Top Secret. Military correspondence between Allied commanders, stamped and signed. The Spanish authorities took the body ashore. Within hours, the news reached German intelligence. They believed they had stumbled upon something miraculous, a drowned courier carrying the Allies' invasion plans. They could not have known that the man in the water had never lived. This is the story of the man who never was, a corpse that changed the course of history. By 1943, the war had entered a new phase. The Allies had triumphed in North Africa. The German Afrika Korps was defeated. Now, the eyes of the Allied commanders turned toward Europe. The next step was inevitable, the invasion of the continent. But the question remained, where would it begin to strike at the heart of Hitler's empire? They needed a foothold. And that foothold was Sicily. It was the logical choice. The island sat like a stepping stone between Africa and Italy. Whoever controlled Sicily controlled access to southern Europe. The problem. It was too obvious. Hitler expected the attack. His generals were already preparing. So the Allies needed to deceive him, to make him believe the invasion would strike elsewhere, somewhere unexpected, somewhere far from Sicily. They needed an illusion so convincing that even the most skeptical German officer would believe it, and for that they would create a man who never was. In a dimly lit office in London's Admiralty Building, a handful of intelligence officers met behind a locked door. The plaque outside read, Room 13, Naval Intelligence Division. Two men sat across a desk strewn with cigarette smoke and maps. Ewan Montague, a barrister turned spymaster, and Charles Cholmondeley, a tall, eccentric officer with a taste for improbable schemes. Their orders were simple, but impossible. Find a way to trick Hitler into defending the wrong part of Europe. Then, Cholmondeley remembered an obscure memo from MI5, a theoretical idea once suggested by another officer. Could we use a dead body carrying false papers to mislead the enemy? The concept was absurd, grotesque, unthinkable. Yet, in that smoky room, the unthinkable became a plan. It was given a code name, Operation Mincemeat. To fool the Germans, they needed a believable corpse, someone young, healthy, and plausible as a British officer who might have died in a crash at sea. The search was grim. Hospitals, morgues, even homeless shelters were quietly contacted. After weeks, they found him, a 34-year-old Welshman named Glyndwr Michael, a drifter, no family, no home. He had died alone in a London warehouse after eating bread laced with rat poison. To the world, Glyndwr Michael was nobody. But to British intelligence, he was perfect. They would give him a new name, a new history, a new life, and send him on one last mission. In death, Glyndwr Michael would become Major William Martin, Royal Marines, a hero who had never existed. Making Major Martin real was a masterpiece of detail. Intelligence officers built his identity piece by piece. A photograph of a fiancée named Pam, handwritten love letters smudged with fingerprints, a ticket stub from a theater in London, a bill for a night at the Savoy Hotel, keys, receipts, a used pencil, the small chaos of a real life. They even fabricated a bank statement showing a modest balance and added a letter from his father complaining about money. Every item was chosen to make the man human, someone with hopes, debts, and someone waiting for him. Finally, they prepared his briefcase, containing top-secret letters between Allied generals, discussing plans for an invasion of Greece and Sardinia, suggesting that Sicily was merely a feint. The deception was elegant. The slightest flaw could destroy it. But when the file was closed and sealed, Major Martin's life was complete. He was ready to go to war. On the cold night of April 19, 1943, the submarine HMS Seraph sailed silently into the Atlantic, its mission to deliver the body to the Spanish coast. The crew had been told only that they were part of a special operation. They knew nothing of the corpse lying in a canister below deck. As dawn broke, the officers assembled on the deck. The body was brought up, dressed in uniform, the briefcase chained to his wrist. They read a short prayer. Then, with solemn hands, they lowered him into the sea. The tide caught him, carrying him slowly toward the Spanish shore. The submarine slipped beneath the waves and vanished. The fate of the plan, and perhaps of thousands of soldiers, now rested on a stranger's body drifting alone in the water. Days later, the body washed ashore near Huelva, Spain. Spain was officially neutral, but its officials were sympathetic to Germany. The Spanish recovered the body and his briefcase, and, as predicted, notified the Germans. German intelligence agents inspected the papers, photographing every page. Within a week, the images were on Hitler's desk in Berlin. The deception worked perfectly. Hitler became convinced the Allied invasion would come through Greece and Sardinia. He ordered reinforcements to be moved eastward, away from Sicily. The bait had been swallowed whole. In July 1943, the Allies invaded Sicily. They faced minimal resistance. Entire divisions of German troops had been redeployed, following false orders. The operation's success was overwhelming. Within 5 weeks, Sicily fell. Hitler, still believing Greece was next, refused to move his forces back in time. The dead man had done his job. Operation Mincemeat, a lie built around a corpse, had saved thousands of lives and helped open the door to Europe. Even after the war, the truth remained hidden. In official records, Major William Martin remained a real British officer. His grave in Huelva was tended by local Spaniards. Flowers were laid, prayers said. No one knew that the man inside had never worn a uniform in life. The Germans never discovered the deception. Hitler even congratulated his intelligence officers for uncovering vital Allied secrets. In London, the success of Operation Mincemeat was marked with a single line in a secret file: "Mincemeat swallowed whole." For decades, the name Glyndwr Michael remained buried in silence. It wasn't until 1998, more than 50 years later, that historians uncovered the truth. Major William Martin had never existed. The real man was Glyndwr Michael, a poor Welsh drifter who had died forgotten and nameless. In death, he became an officer, a hero, a phantom patriot. The British government later amended his tombstone in Spain. Today, it reads, Glyndwr Michael, who served as Major William Martin, Royal Marines. The words carry both irony and reverence, a man who did nothing in life, but whose death helped defeat one of history's greatest evils. Operation Mincemeat remains one of the most brilliant acts of deception ever conceived. It proved that war is not always won by strength. Sometimes, it's won by imagination, by illusion, by daring to blur the line between life and death. The man who never was still lies in the Spanish soil, under olive trees and sea wind, his briefcase long gone, his secret long revealed. But his story endures, a reminder that in war, truth is fragile, and sometimes the dead can speak louder than the living. This was The Man Who Never Was. Thank you for watching Shadows of 1945. Subscribe for more hidden stories from the forgotten corners of World War II.